now, currently, today, but it is a threat that the companies and the industry really reflects on. For near future, this might be a rising problem and more deeper problem. So that's one thing that most of the companies were worried about. And I'll come to in the conclusion, I'll come to our proposals, how this can be mitigated. Now, this workforce, the second one is capital, so the lack of capital. Let's say that it's very constrained. And now we speak about commercial banks, for instance, that are in the European Union, not really reflecting the change or the Zeitenwende, let's say, because they still follow in many instances the ESG rules, environmental social governance. And it's very hard, basically, for many of the companies to get to the capital, or it can be much harder than for other companies from other industries, of course. And if we want to, there is a premise that if we want to support our industry or defense industry,
like, for instance, research in Russia, then this is something that should be addressed. Then there is more about culture, and by that we mean we were often hearing that the culture is moving slowly in terms of how we support industry as a whole society, let's say, right? So there is this embedded feeling that the defense industry is, I don't know, they're gun smugglers or something, right? I mean, so there's more about culture of how we approach the whole industry really doesn't help the whole situation. And then lacking a coherent strategy on the government level was another thing that we heard multiple times. So we do, of course, the Slovak government or even Slovak parliament has passed a defense strategy, of course, or security strategy for the Slovak Republic. So I'm not speaking about a document such as that one, which can also be updated, to be honest. But I'm speaking about something, or the representatives as well, we're speaking about having a strategy that specifically targeted at the defense industry. What do we want to do? How do we expect the industry to work? How are we able to address issues such as workforce or the lack of contracts or the lack of funding, capital, etc. So this could be addressed in one coherent strategy that would be prepared together with the industry, of course, and then ideally proposed by the government and also ideally passed by the parliament itself. And last but not least, it's the sort of lack of support or a potential to really strengthen the support for export. And by that we mean, for instance, a more support from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that aligns with the current Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that was vocal in his support for the economic diplomacy, because essentially we're speaking about economic diplomacy here, that we enlarge our capacities, diplomatic capacities in third countries, for instance, that could be targeted as potential partners or potential buyers of the products of our industry. And let me just briefly look at my list here, so I don't forget anything. But out of this, so these are the threats, and out of these, and I promise I'll stop there, are a couple of remedies or suggestions for remedies, because of course we didn't want to stop at the diagnostics, but we wanted to move a bit forward and also listen to the industry, of course. What could be a potential remedy for these problems? So some of them were already mentioned, but for instance, in workforce, or dealing with the lack of workforce, there seems to be a profound need to connect more systematically the industry, so also private companies, not just the state-owned companies, but also those, of course, with the universities or even the high schools that are specifically aiming at technical education, and also the state, namely, of course, the Ministry of Defense, but even more specifically, soldiers. I personally do not think that it should be a taboo to see a soldier in a private enterprise or a private company from the industry, or in the school, university or high school, because there comes a constant interaction, and at the end we can work together on what the industry needs, so we can prepare future workforce with relevant and qualified skills that are up to date, of course. In terms of capital, we suggested to for the states to potentially have a look on Exim Banka, which is a state-owned export-import bank. And there might be a potential to address some of the constraints, capital constraints for the industry, speaking about R&D, enlarging production, even export, which could be partially, at least partially mitigated through an institution such as Exim Banka. Then, of course, there are contracts, so not political will is needed in order to really go to Slovak industry, sort of have a look also at the legislative process if we don't want to prefer Slovak companies in some instances. And I feel that I'm speaking for too much, so I will leave the rest for the hopeful discussion or for my dear co-speaker here and guest speaker, and I will happily address anything that comes up at the later stages. Thank you.
Thank you very much, William. Absolutely. We bring in the years of experience of someone who was for a long time sitting in the first row of Slovak defense industry. So, Mr. Kuzetic, please, what are your takeaway points on our brief presentation by William and the report itself?
Okay, thank you for the invitation. Well, first of all, I have to say that I'm not involved in defense industry since middle of November anymore, so maybe I can speak openly more to me and say something what I couldn't afford in the past. But generally, I have to say that I really appreciate that such a paper has been written, because in the past I just read a lot of papers about the security and defense strategies, a lot of papers about the features of the army vehicles or gun system and stuff like that, or just raw data about the sales, number of employees and stuff like that. But it is a little bit different, and we can look at the real problem of Slovak defense industry. And there are a lot of good ideas, which I agree with. Some of them are about discussions, and some of them are maybe too ambitious. Because I think they are ambitious because of the, let's say, the relevance of Slovak defense industry share in, for example, in GDP. I look at the numbers, and I have to say that maybe top 10 biggest company in this industry make sales revenue more than 300 million euros. So it's, compared to the GDP of Slovakia, it's very deeply under 1%. It's 0.3 or 4. So I'm very cautious about how many ideas or suggestions could be implemented through this reality, because in that time the defense industry, the topic of the defense industry is very, let's say, sexy because of the crisis in Ukraine and stuff like that. But I'm afraid what will happen in the future. So this is like my first remark, that it's great that such a paper is here, and good to push maybe the Ministry of Defense to talk about these ideas. But based on my experience, don't be surprised that some things couldn't go as you wish in this area. I get through all these SWOT analyses and suggestions, and I have to say that in many cases you are right, sharply right. That's correct. You said about the strengths, the adaptability, flexibility. Yes, it's true, but it's coming also from the position that we are relatively small. We have a small company, so we are able to adapt the situation. And you talked about the puzzle or the assembly, this, for example, specifically in Halice Zuzana. And this product coming from the, let's say, from the state. It was the big advantage that the state financed all this project in the beginning. So it wasn't impossible pilot project with Howitzer and then to try to sell it. So yes, that's right. That we are flexible. We have good background from the past, but and now I saw in your paper that maybe I jumped to the threads, and there was a proverb of Chinese proverb that the threat is opportunity, and I would say that in Slovakia, in this situation, I would put it vice versa, that the opportunity what we have now can be threat for these companies, because now we face to many challenges. The Russian invasion in Ukraine, so big demand for army products for Ukraine. Then is global demand for these products. The Ministry of Defense has started big modernization projects when the Slovak companies and many Slovak state companies played a key role. And now we are running the company is running business also with the maintenance, what you mentioned, and we have to expect some maintenance service with this coming from the modernization. So there's four big challenges for the companies which 2 years ago were in the position of peace and doing something, so maybe state companies surviving from 1 year to another year, and now their position is that they jump in the sales revenue, they have to attract new people, workforce, and we know there is a lot of problem with that. We had problem, that's the problem, they had a problem with the capital, with money, cash flow, because you mentioned, for example, the state-owned bank, Exim Bank, just yesterday, or the government approved the budget of the Exim Bank, and it is just 500 million per year, you know, that's nothing. I mean, and the condition of this bank to the companies running business in defense industry are not so attractive, about the fee and standards and stuff like that. So it is, for example, you can have a potential contract, but in many cases you face this problem with cash flow, with money. So this is a topic which we have to talk about with the new government, how to really solve this situation. So all this opportunity can be also the threat for the company, because it is big, what's it, challenge for the managers of this company, especially the state-owned companies, because they jump from the low level to up level. And for example, the Howitzer Susanna now it is a strong brand in the world. We are succeeding in Ukraine. We're trying to sell it in somewhere else, but we cannot afford any mistake in this situation. So now I see to be very, very careful about it, and really tough job for the manager of these companies to manage this opportunity. And when you mentioned the weaknesses, you mentioned that in the paper your overregulation and the position when the government or the Ministry of Economy issued the export licenses. Now I just read somewhere that there is a bill that some competence coming from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or Ministry of Economy to the Ministry of Defense. I don't know what is exactly going on there, but you know, it changed. It's going very dramatically without any discussion. We don't know what's the point of that, and we know that the regulation or the present situation is not good, but it cannot work like this. that they changed through another law this bill. They paralyzed this bill. So we will see what will happen. But I have to say that about the overregulation, there was a great one point in the previous government that about the license fee. There was a license fee which was the exact number. It was a 0.1% from the contract. So imagine when for example, Constructor Defense has a contract with Ukraine about the 90 million euro, 16 howitzer. It is 90,000 euro to pay to state. So it's good money, for the state. But the government changed it just 2,000 euro. So it is very helpful, to just imagine for all these companies running business in this field, that it's very helpful. So yes, we talked about the overregulation, but this point is very positive for the export policy for Slovak companies. And also you mentioned the position about the economic diplomacy. That, in Slovak position, in Slovak country, the economic diplomacy is just a word. That all the time we talk about the economic diplomacy, but when you see in reality, it's awful. We have a meeting in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and their budget was 50,000 euro per year for economic diplomacy. I told them that the one exhibition in London cost us 100,000. So and they told us that they are able to give us 5 or 10,000 euro. I said no, thank you, because it's so many papers about this and stuff like that. So we will care about it itself. So so we talked about the economic diplomacy, but nothing changed, especially in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And the business with the gun, or this gun system requires political support. That's nothing new, and that's true that the previous Minister of Defense, Jaroslav Naď, was very active in this area. He was in Brasilia where we tried to sell our howitzer. The State Secretary Mayer was in Malaysia. We tried to sell howitzer. So he's for example, when the EU Commissioner Breton was in Slovakia, he welcomed him here in the ZRS holding. Personally, I think that probably the new minister Kalina is, let's say, also the business oriented. So maybe he will be also very active in the area. But there are a lot of opportunities in Ukraine, and new government pronounced that they are not going to stop any contract and stuff like that. But I think that it's a very tough job to make business in Ukraine on one hand, and on the other hand to hear from some Slovak representatives that the Ukraine is the most corrupted country. We cannot offer the Ukrainian representative such a way, and then we say, okay, so let's go there and make business. So they see what our representative is talking about, and we have a competition there. Poland, France, Germany, they are ready to invest money. The ministers are ready to go to Kiev to negotiate, to open the branches in Kiev, and they are much more active compared to present Slovak representative. And I cannot imagine how the new Minister of Foreign Affairs will go to the Kiev to try to sell Slovak defense products after the war, what we said in campaign and stuff like that. So this is something what is not good for companies, because, as I said, we are in the strong competition situation with other companies, which they have a great support of the government. So we will see what's going on in this area, but I'm wondering what happened. Is the potential contract, other potential contract, or let's say potential cooperation with some commercial companies or Ukrainian state-owned companies with Slovak state companies. So this is the question for the future. So and what else? As you said about yes, about the product, you told we have actually for my position we have just howitzer, Zuzana or the product, the demanding system, the Modena, and maybe the ammunition. There are real three products which we can sell to Ukraine and to present this company, but it is also the question of capacity. You know, because we face problem with the workforce, and we will face in the close future. And when I was in a position, we try to communicate, for example, with the grammar school, you know, to attract the young people to come to work. There is some dual program, but generally it's problem to attract young people to go to study engineering grammar school. You know, it's not just problem for industry, for defense industry, but generally for the industry. So you can try, you can create some program with this school, but I spoke with directors of the school and said we have problem to attract people to come to study our school. So they have to, now that we organize the industry day for kids from the basic school together with this grammar school, just to attract kids from the basic school to study just grammar school. So this is something what I really don't know how to solve it, because generally in all industries problem is the workforce. One of the options is to invest more money to new technologies to be more productive, because we have in many cases a low productivity. And maybe the question how to work with the retired soldier, you know, to attract them to the companies, but it will solve what maybe the middle management and top management, not position in the front line of in this company. So and it compared to the other industry is not possible, or it is too tricky to attract people from the abroad to the defense industry. So compared to the automotive or something, it's not so easy to attract people from the abroad and to employ such people. So I don't have an answer for this problem really. And you also mentioned the research development agenda. That's also a problem, because there is a lot of professionals in the area now, you know, and it's not question of cooperation with the university now, because you have to have these experts. You have to have experts with 10, 15, 20 years experience in the field, and these people are gone. So it is very tough where to find it. So it is a question how to cooperate each other, maybe some cluster, something like that. Because it's very tough now to fulfill the demand from the customers, and on the same time mapping, analyzing the new trends in this area. You know, so also there is a big management challenge for these people. And maybe a last remark. You spoke about this some strategic document about this. That's what I said. That in this case, I'm a little bit skeptical. First of all, that would be great if such a document would be approved by the government and opposition as well. But look at the security and defense strategy. This national document has been approved just by the coalition, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm very skeptical that there will be some common agreement about such an idea. But we will see. At least to take some good points from this point and to adapt in reality will be the winning. So anyway, thank you for this work. It's necessary to push it, to talk with the Ministry of Defense and other stakeholders in this area. Definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the remarks. We opened so many topics, and certainly for us this is the beginning of our advocacy work with this report, and we certainly have to continue with more activities. Now I will have to turn to the audience because this is our supposed to be discussion. So if there are any questions right now, we have still time for one or two questions quickly. If there is someone very interested in anything what was said, or there is any questions to things we just touched, please, floor is yours.
First of all, congratulations to this remarkable analysis to our partner organization and institution. My question is, it's a kind of follow-up what Mr. Škopeti mentioned as some challenges, threats, but we are in very dynamic now development, and also not only threats and challenges, but also some opportunities are emerging. And my question is, and I hope that it's not anything secret, that we are in the region in which at least one country, big country, is now rearming its armed force. Yeah, it's Poland. My question is whether Slovak weapon industry is appearing on the radar of Poland and Polish government as a potential partner and maybe even supplier of some equipment, some techniques for their process of rearmament.
Gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Of course, I think I can only answer briefly, but I know, for instance, about the 155 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken, ammunition, which is a very important product right now, that Slovak company is supplying to Polish armed forces. And as I said, it's a critical component. So we have this company, which I think is on its own very important company to study, let's say. It's partly owned by the state, 50% and 50%, if I'm not mistaken, is owned by privately. So yes, this is what I'm aware of that we do, or the companies in Slovakia such as does cooperate with Poland. But if your question is very specific, I cannot follow up because I don't know about other specific products that we supply. But I think that cooperation is there. Oh, and perhaps last remark is that, of course, Polish industry and Polish state and Polish government. For Polish government, I would even say that, or Polish society as such, it's a bipartisan issue, let's say. Of course, we have multi-parties, but it's bipartisan issue. That's exactly what you were mentioning, Mr. Schultz, that for us it's way more polarizing, which is then quickly in many instances, because then the opposition is saying something else instead of all of us working together for the Slovak industry, right? So Poles are way different in this, I would say, and they support their own home industry very, very much. So right, but we do supply, and I guess that there is a constant interaction if we can expand that cooperation.
I just can add that what I know that there is holding now, I think, negotiate new contract with the Poland side, which about this ammunition. That's all what I know, and there is holding has a long tradition of this contract with the Polish armed forces. That's all what I know.
Okay, John Zekutia, MSN. Maybe just a little bit update the topic we discussed right now. I can confirm that MSN was ZBS. It's one of the main contractors for 155 for Polish systems car. So we have certified production for car, of course. There is a cooperation between our companies, and there's a transfer of technologies to Poland for these. Actually, I think it's very difficult to imagine that the Polish demands for, if we are speaking of the numbers, what they are looking for, could be produced in Slovakia. So maybe smaller companies can participate partially in this project, but not providing the final product to Poland. But my question, if I may, you were speaking about the Ministry of Defense and support for the defense industry. But what do you think? Isn't it time to think about support not from Ministry of Defense level, from the higher level? If you look into Czech Republic, for example, agency AIMS, Intergovernmental Cooperation Agency, something like that, we are missing. If you look into Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Czech Republic, there is the person, or let's say some small team which is running through the market, supporting the Czech companies. In Slovakia, it's something that is missing. So I think that it's not about the MOD, it's about the government or level from the government to wake up and to do something real to support.
Thank you. Excellent question. Thank you very much. And I was just, I wasn't being impolite, but on page 15, it mentioned Amos, right, from the Czech Republic. That's a good example of this. So I 100% agree with you. But it's, again, a question of political will. And it's a question of how are we united behind this. So if we still treat politically the topic of the defense and the cooperation with Ukraine, etc., as something that divides us so drastically that I don't see a great potential there. But of course, it is mentioned, and I agree with you 100%. But also not only on the level of the government, which is a great example of Amos from Czech Republic, but also, and I think I mentioned it, Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well, with the economic diplomacy. And I know that the situation today is dire, but there were some pledges or some let's call them pledges, that this will expand and we will deal with it in a better way, and there will be more than 50,000 euros, etc. So that's also one actor, but I definitely agree that ideally should be on the level of the government.
Unfortunately, I have to be hard moderator because we are end of the time. So thank you for your presence, gentlemen. Thank you for your remarks. Report is on the table, and we will certainly work on to delivering it to more stakeholders and engage them in discussions how we can make at least some of our parts or suggestions and information happen. Next, we continue with the launch of the book, so please don't leave anywhere. Have a coffee. There's some refreshment outside. Stay with us. In 50 minutes, we continue with the launch of the book. Please stay with us.